On a crisp morning in May of 2005, the streets of Albany, New York, carried the ordinary rhythm of a school day. 14-year-old Gretchen Perham, known affectionately to her family and friends as G.I., left her home and began her familiar walk to Hackett Middle School. She was a bright and dedicated student, an honor roll regular whose warm smile and quiet determination endeared her to teachers and classmates alike. That route along Myrtle Avenue had always felt safe, a short journey through a working-class neighborhood in the city's South End. Yet on the 13th of May, that sense of security shattered forever. As Gretchen walked alone, a predator watched. Darius Ashley, then 30 years old, allegedly approached her with violent intent. According to the account later presented by prosecutors, he attempted to abduct and sexually assault her. When the courageous teenager fought back and tried to escape, Ashley responded with lethal force, stabbing her repeatedly in the chest. Her life ended swiftly and brutally on that ordinary sidewalk. Later that same day, an employee of the Albany Department of General Services discovered her body discarded down a steep embankment near Mount Hope Drive, hidden among overgrown brush as though she were refuse. The discovery sent a wave of horror through the city. Gretchen's murder was not merely a tragedy for one family, it became a symbol of vulnerability in a community that suddenly felt under siege. In the weeks and months that followed, fear gripped Albany. A series of knife-point attacks on young women and teenage girls emerged, all bearing chilling similarities. In April of that year, just weeks before Gretchen's death, Ashley had allegedly forced another 14-year-old girl into his vehicle on Central Avenue, held a knife to her throat, driven her to an apartment, and raped her. That victim survived and later provided crucial evidence. Then, on the 9th of June, less than a month after Gretchen was killed, Ashley allegedly attempted to drag yet another 14-year-old girl, who also attended Hackett Middle School, into an alley near Myrtle Avenue, the very path Gretchen often took. The girl escaped when he dropped a towel containing traces of his DNA, though his identity remained unknown for several more weeks. The pattern culminated on the 10th of July, when Ashley allegedly abducted a 22-year-old woman under threat of a knife, drove her to a secluded location, and raped her. Remarkably, after the assault he fell asleep in his vehicle, allowing the victim to summon help. Police arrived, found a condom on his person, and collected a DNA sample. Within days, that sample linked him conclusively to the earlier attacks. Ashley was arrested and eventually convicted on charges of rape, kidnapping, and related offenses, receiving a sentence of 45 years in state prison. He began serving that time at Karksaki Correctional Facility, a maximum security institution where he would remain for decades. From the earliest stages of the investigation into Gretchen's murder, detectives zeroed in on Ashley. The timing, the methodology, the proximity of the attacks, all pointed unmistakably in his direction. His DNA profile already matched evidence from the other assaults on young females walking alone in the same neighborhoods. Yet the forensic technology available in 2005 proved insufficient. Biological material recovered from Gretchen's body and clothing yielded only partial or degraded profiles that could not meet the strict evidentiary threshold required for a murder charge. Prosecutors and police were forced to watch as their prime suspect was imprisoned for other crimes while the most serious allegation, that he had taken an innocent child's life, remained unresolved. The case went cold, though it was never truly forgotten. For the Perham family, the years that followed were defined by quiet grief and unyielding hope. Gretchen's parents, siblings, and extended relatives attended annual vigils, kept her memory alive through photographs and stories, and maintained regular contact with investigators. Retired Detective Jack Grogan, who had worked the case from its earliest days, carried the weight of the unsolved file long after leaving the force. Albany Police Chief Brendan Cox, who had also been involved in the original investigation, repeatedly affirmed that the department never closed the book. Evidence sat preserved in storage, waiting for science to catch up. Over the 2 decades that passed, forensic DNA analysis underwent revolutionary advancement. Techniques that once required substantial, pristine samples could now extract meaningful profiles from minute or degraded traces. Amplification methods improved dramatically, and databases expanded, allowing investigators to revisit evidence once deemed inconclusive. In the mid-2020s, Albany County prosecutors and police quietly resubmitted preserved biological material from Gretchen's case for retesting using these modern tools. The results were unequivocal. Darius Ashley's DNA matched the evidence recovered from the victim's body and the crime scene. On the 19th of December, 2025, a grand jury returned a 6-count indictment against the now 50-year-old Ashley. The charges included 2 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of second-degree murder, first-degree kidnapping, attempted first-degree rape, and first-degree sexual abuse. That same morning, corrections officers escorted him from prison, in green scrubs and handcuffs, into an Albany County courtroom for arraignment before Judge Roger McDonough. Ashley stood silent throughout much of the proceeding, offering only a plea of not guilty. Outside the courtroom, members of the Perham family gathered, their faces reflecting a complex mixture of relief, sorrow, and resolve. At a subsequent press conference, District Attorney Lee Kindlon described the breakthrough as the product of perseverance and scientific progress. He emphasized that the case had never been abandoned and that no new witness testimony or informant tips had driven the charges, only the enhanced ability to interpret evidence collected 20 years earlier. Chief Cox embraced the retired Detective Grogan, a gesture that spoke volumes about the emotional toll the case had exacted on those who pursued it. Gretchen's childhood best friend, speaking on behalf of many who knew her, summed up the moment in 3 simple words. "We got him." The indictment represented more than the resolution of a single cold case. It underscored the transformative power of forensic advancement in delivering long-delayed justice. Across the nation, similar breakthroughs had begun to close files once thought permanently unsolvable, offering closure to families who had waited decades. For Albany, the charging of Darius Ashley reaffirmed that no crime, however old, escapes the reach of determined investigation and evolving science. Ashley's next court appearance was scheduled for the 20th of February, 2026. If convicted on the new charges, he faces life imprisonment without possibility of parole, to be served consecutively to his existing 45-year sentence. For the Perham family and the community that mourned Gretchen, the proceedings ahead promise not vengeance but accountability, a final acknowledgement that the bright, promising life cut short on a spring morning 2 decades ago mattered profoundly, and that justice, though delayed, had at last arrived.